Star Wars: The Last Jedi has arrived at last, leaving audiences thrilled, amazed, and emotionally spent. Not to mention totally wondering exactly what the heck is going to happen next. Unfortunately, that next isn't going to arrive until Episode 9 hits theaters in 2019. But at least that gives fans plenty of time to speculate about just what we're likely to see when this story finally concludes. With that in mind, here's a spoiler-filled look at some of the biggest unanswered questions in The Last Jedi. Why did Luke die? Just as it seemed all hope was lost for the Resistance at the end of The Last Jedi, the actual Last Jedi showed up with a new hope in the form of a cool force projection from across the galaxy. And then, after giving the others time to escape, he dropped dead. For no apparent reason. But why? Was the strain of projecting himself across the galaxy too much? Did Kylo Ren's lightsaber attack somehow actually injure Luke in the same way Kylo was able to reach out and physically touch Rey from across the galaxy? Or did Luke simply become one with the Force after redeeming himself and finally finding balance? All we know for sure is, like Yoda before him, Luke just suddenly raptured on out of there, leaving behind nothing but a sweaty old Jedi Snuggie. Why though is anyone's guess. Were Snoke's guards actually Luke's other students? When Luke explains to Rey what happened between him and Kylo Ren, he states that Ben Solo turned to the dark side, slew several of Luke's other students, and then took off with the rest. So what happened to those other students? Is it possible they ended up as Snoke's personal guards? After all, those mysterious red-clad warriors were almost powerful enough to take out Kylo Ren and Rey at the same time. Of course, if those were Luke's other students, why wasn't anybody looking for them and trying to save them, instead of only worrying about Kylo Ren all the time? And if they weren't Luke's other students, does that mean some of Luke's other students might still be alive somewhere? Is Snoke really dead? There was a ton of speculation over the last couple of years over Supreme Leader Snoke's true identity, and then he abruptly got cut in half with a lightsaber, making all that speculation pointless. Whoops, but is he really dead? One of the leading theories about Snoke's true identity was the idea that he was actually Darth Plagueis, a Sith Lord who was so incredibly powerful, he actually mastered death itself. If that's true, then it's possible Snoke could possibly return from the dead in Episode 9. And hey, Darth Maul somehow came back from being cut in half by grafting weird spider legs to his torso. So is the galaxy going to be menaced by zombie Snoke? Let the next 2 years of speculation begin. What are they going to do with Leia? When Carrie Fisher tragically passed away in 2016, fans couldn't help but wonder how it would affect the Star Wars universe. While Fisher had already finished filming her scenes as General Leia for The Last Jedi, Disney reportedly had to completely rework the story for Episode 9 to deal with the loss of one of the franchise's most beloved characters. But how exactly are they going to handle it in the story? At the end of The Last Jedi, Leia is still leading the ragtag group of survivors from the Resistance, and is confident she has all the tools she needs to reform the movement and drive out the First Order. But since Disney is reportedly not going to use any footage of Fisher in Episode 9, or use CGI to recreate her as they did in Rogue One, it leaves a major question mark about how they'll explain her absence. Why is Luke really on the island? When Rey shows up and asks for Luke's help, he very rudely tells her to get lost, informing her that he came to the island to die in peace, which is a nice line and everything, but it doesn't make a lick of sense. For starters, if he wanted to die, why is he still, alive? And more importantly, if he really wanted to be alone so darn badly, why did he leave behind a detailed map showing exactly how to find him? The whole thing seems like the Jedi equivalent of vague booking. He really went away because he just wanted someone to come find him and ask what's wrong, and you thought Kylo Ren was the emo one. What's in the cave? Jedi trainees sure do love going into evil caves to confront the dark side, but Rey's trip into the blowhole of ultimate evil left us with more questions than answers. When she first senses the cave, Luke is horrified at how willingly she approaches the darkness that dwells within, but not horrified enough to cancel the next lesson. They agree that there must be something Rey needs inside the cave, something that calls to her. And yet, when she actually goes inside to find out what the deal is, she only finds a mirror that provides her with nothing at all. So what was Rey drawn to in the cave that was so important? Because whatever it is, she didn't seem to actually find it. What are Leia's powers? Fans have been salivating at the idea of Leia becoming a Jedi Knight since it was first revealed in Return of the Jedi that she's Luke's sister and can also use the Force. But other than occasionally gazing into the middle distance and mumbling someone's name, she never seemed to use any of her powers. Until The Last Jedi, when she suddenly went full-on Star Wizard in a crazy sequence when she used her abilities to survive the vacuum of space and even fly through it. Which begs the question, how the heck did she do that? When did she undergo training? What else can she do? Leia's powers have never been explored, but flying around in space like your Iron Man or something suggests that Leia has a whole bag of tricks we never knew about, and sadly are never likely to see again. What does porg taste like? It's true that Last Jedi leaves a lot of questions open to debate, but for our money, the one question we really want answered is what porg tastes like. In one of the most wrenching scenes in the film, Chewbacca tries to eat a roast porg, only to be accosted by the poor beast's distraught family. They try to guilt him into not eating their cousin, although by that point the damage was kind of already done, and it looked delicious, like a juicy, tender chicken roasted to perfection. But does it taste like chicken? Or as the name implies, is it closer to pork? Porg, the other white meat? It does kind of have a ring to it. Thanks for watching. Click the looper icon to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Plus, check out all this cool stuff we know you'll love too.